So we're just a little over a month and a half away from the start of the American Geophysical Union annual fall meeting. It's in Washington, D.C. this year. It rotates all around back to Washington, D.C. Um, it's a great conference, brings together thousands and thousands of scientists from all the world. How many AGUs have you attended so far in your career?
Since 2003, so it's like more than 20 years.
And so we've just found that you are a mid-career scientist. So as you are reaching mid-career, is going to AGU more seeing old friends or meeting new collaborators, or does it still have that excitement that both those things happen?
There are excitement in both, but in some degree, it's more seeing old friends and like getting older, right?
It is a
Like
chance.
excited to see the people that I know before. But some it's very funny. I think AG because it's so big, and like sometimes your graduate school friends, right? They graduated, they go to other parts of the world, and you don't see them again for like 20 years, and suddenly you walk on the hallway, and you're like, "Oh, you are here!" It's so funny. It's such a everything everywhere place. It's really cool.
For my own AGU experience, this will be the seventh one that I have gone to, and I've just started now seeing people there that I've seen every year, and it is the place we see. So I'm just starting to have that
Mhm.
feeling of like, oh my God, here we are. How nice to see you again. It is one of the most wonderful and charming things about the conference.
Yeah. I know. It's so good.
The
Yeah.
conference is also a chance to recognize people in the fields that are doing things and have had professional success over the years that are recognized in several different ways. There are named lectures, there are award ceremonies, both of which this year you are a part of.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
So the named lecture, the Witherspoon Lecture. So it has someone in the past gave this lecture and they gave this name to it. What's it like for you to feel like there's the weight of the tradition of the history of a named lecture to deliver in this environment?
Mhm. First of all, I definitely want to live up to the expectation. Right? But I'm so grateful. This name, Witherspoon is actually Paul Witherspoon worked in Lawrenceburg National Lab before. And I did my postdoc for 2 years and worked as a research scientist in Lawrenceburg National Lab. So I feel a bit of like Thai history and honored and all these kind of mixed sense of feelings. And in a way, I think to me, the hydrology field is a bit of a used to be more physical science focused. I think, that's at least that's my impression over, and it feels because I'm working on water quality more like, the other side, the chemistry side. And it does feel the field is very much evolving over time. And this is awards about, people from almost like different subfield of the community. It feels really nice that there's a lot of thinking emphasis, and to me it's also a way of potentially promoting, thinking about the importance of water quality, bringing the awareness and all that. Yeah.
And is one of the things I just heard you mention recently in a meeting, and I see from the work that you publish and the things that you talk about, is the role of humans in water quality, and that you are really trying to shine a light on that and bring that more and more into the field. Do you think this is a chance for you to show off those ideas?
Yeah. So I think the talk is some I will be thinking about, what we have been working on in the past, right? Like, what has we have learned in this work, but also a bit of looking into the future, what is the new frontiers, what we can do, and what are the challenges, and how we can bring all the different tools. There's a lot of feel like new emerging tools. There's a traditional, for example, reactive transfer modeling, and this type of model has also been expanded in terms of capability. But also there's like new tools like machine learning, deep learning, and all kinds of different tools. And it seems, I mean, to me, it's a good time to think about bringing the different tools together because each of them have strengths and weakness, and it's not like there's no one tool for all. So it's a good time to think about how we can bring them together and solving, the help at least to think about the biggest challenge, biggest water challenge right now. Yeah.
We'll talk about the other award here in just a moment, but for the Witherspoon Award, did someone mention that they were nominating you and you're like, oh, just go ahead. I'm not even going to pay attention to that. What was that like?
I know who nominated me. It's last year's Witherspoon speaker lecturer.
So a passing
Yeah.
of the baton up there. Oh,
Yeah.
one last, so you've presented so many times at so many conferences. I've seen you present. You're a very dynamic, wonderful presenter. Are you going to feel more nervous? Are you going to be more prepared? Or are you going to get up there and just speak from the heart?
Mm, I think depending on the day, right? But I feel like there's so much work we have done. I've given so many lectures before, so it doesn't feel as much like I think it's almost also an age thing. Like when you grow older, you feel more confident about what you do. You also care less about what other people say. Like if they like it, I will try my best to, um, to think about what people want to hear most and what would be most interesting to a broader audience. But I'm sure there's always something you say people don't like. Right?
Taylor Swift herself says haters are going to hate. Like there's really nothing. You can't do anything.
Yes.
Can't do anything about that. This is not the only
Yeah, she
recognition.
also said, okay, there's another thing. I'm sorry.
No,
She
no,
also
no.
said, friends to everyone is friends to no one.
A friend to all is a friend to none.
Difference.
She
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
She does say that. And that
yeah.
makes my Swiftie heart
It's
proud.
about opinion, not about,
Right,
scientific.
right. No, no, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Taylor's words are for everyone. You're
Hmm.
also, so this, it sounds like the Witherspoon Award is that here your career, you're thinking about really good science, you're doing amazing research, you're looking at asking really good questions that people recognize as important in your field. Then there's the Joanne Simpson Medal, which seems to indicate that you're also a leader, you mentor students, that you put other people's first, that you're trying to uplift people. Talking about the Joanne Simpson, right? The Joanne Simpson Medal,
John
which you're
Simpson,
also
yes.
receiving at AGU this fall.
Yeah, so that one is a lot about mentoring and thinking about the community. Um, this is something like really important to me when I think about, like when I collaborate, when I'm thinking about, mentoring students, what the field is currently missing and how we want to see the future generation of earth scientists or hydrologists and biogeochemists, how the, community look like. So one of my kind of biggest passion is about promoting women scientists. And I've been doing this, thinking about like with these water women advancing river research seminar series. But also, when advising students, I'm hoping to be able to also lifting more of women scientists because in traditional STEM field, there's a lot of, you know, kind of more barrier in the time. And I mean, it's become better and better over time, but I think we definitely can do more. And my own experience is that, it needs some almost like critical mass of women in the field to be able to, holding hands and help each other and the whole community, the culture changes, the way we do science changes. And my when I started as assistant professor and thinking about collaboration, all that, I realized most of my collaborators, whoever initiated the inviting me to work together with them are mostly women. So it tells a lot about Not that men try to do, but it's just I think consciously you what people as part of human being, we tend to work with the people more similar to yourself. So in a way, it's very important to see more women and more underrepresented group in the community so everyone feels welcome and can do their science without feel like they don't belong. Yeah.
Talking about that just a moment, do you feel science is very competitive? Everybody's out there. They want grants. They want money. Without the funding, you're not going to get your research questions answered. You can't do that. Do men and women, do you think, compete differently? What is the competitive nature of science more patriarchal and like really you get your own and don't care? And women have more of a tradition of supporting each other and wanting to work together in that way. And so is how science funding things and the competitive nature of science changing?
It's so I mean, men and women are kind of a bit of different species in a way. So definitely there's difference, in terms of collaborating. When you have a committee mostly of women versus a committee most of men or a panel, right? Like, so if you think about NSF proposal, how it's funded, usually it goes through review process, we call ad hoc review, maybe 3 to 5, each proposal, and then usually have a panel, something around 10, to 15 people, and each panelist would review a certain number, maybe 10 proposals, and then we all discuss together. So in a way, the composition of the panel and how the discussion works through whether there more women versus men dominated. I think it will also make a big difference as well in terms of what we see, what we value. So as the whole process, from working on project, from at first writing proposals, how proposals funded and how projects are being done, there's differences. And I think hopefully we are working toward making the community more inclusive and make everyone feel welcome. Yeah.
At the award ceremony, you'll stand up there with your other recipients. They'll present you with a medal. Is your work done then? Have you achieved your goal, or is it just the middle of your goal?
It's mid-career, so it has to be middle. Right. It's not like I can go back to sleep and right, I'm done, right? Yeah, I'm glad. I feel so grateful in a way that this is midpoint, and I'm being recognized. I feel there's so much work done, really just not about me. It's about Julie, about Erin, about Donna, all these other people that I collaborated with. And traditionally we have seen, AGU, there's a lot more men being recognized. You look at history, especially for the like entire career type awards. I think it's a generation thing, right? Because earlier generations it's more percentage men there. So I think to me it's really more than the medal and all these the lecture is more than just for me. It's for a lot of people who are similar to me. They're women, there's people coming from different country, immigrants, um, Asian or whoever they can parents, they can see something similar to me. Hopefully it's uplifting to them as well. Because for a long time, I think, and then there's still a lot of the along the line of thinking about science career, a lot of people think they will have to almost like give up their, at least, some part, like, some, I know a lot of scientists, they don't have children or they don't do because it was you will they do take a lot of time. So in I when I talk when I was on sabbatical in Europe for a year a few years back, and I remember talking to the women scientists there, and they have the impression in order to be really raised to the top, you have to give up your family, like having children or things. So it feels I'm hoping people can see it doesn't has to be that way through me. So that's something that I'm very grateful for because I think maybe it'll help others in the community to think about how they do science and how they live their life.
The people that you work with must be very, very happy for you, are celebrating alongside you. And I also know from what I see on the outside, it's very well deserved. You do uplift a lot of people, you inspire people. In my conversation with Bryn, one of your students that you've mentored, she's also just shines through. So that's congratulations, well deserved. I can't wait to be able to share a picture of you wearing a
Yeah,
medal.
yeah, yeah.
Is there
Yeah,
anything that
I
you would
will.
say to a person? I'm sorry, you're going to say something. Well, go ahead. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Was I'm joking. I'm counting on you to take pictures.
I will be there. Don't
Yeah.
worry about that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
of
last
course.
question for you, you've mentioned what you've had lots of time to think about encouraging young women in science. There's a woman out there, a girl out there, 6, 7, 8 years old. She's curious about something, and then either her family or the peers around her or boys are mean to her about being curious. What would you offer advice to that girl to stay curious, to follow those dreams of curiosity?
Hmm. I always say follow their own passion, like follow what they think, not what other people tell you. Because a lot of time, there's this some, I mean, it's still here, there's certain part of society think women cannot do, or they're not good at certain things. I could be that little girl. When I was high school, I remember actually I really wanted to be a writer, like writing novel. That's something that I have been wanted to do for when I was live for a long time. But then someone told me that, women usually not good at doing science or math or things like so. It's to me becoming a scientist almost is a bit of a rebellion reaction during my teenage year. Um, but I think it's also suits me. Probably didn't realize I actually can do well there, and I was good at math and science. So that's hearing that is very upsetting, and I end up doing in science and engineering. So when the little girl out there, I really want to them to don't think about what other people tell you. It's your path and follow what you want to do. That's very important, I think.